I know exactly what you're saying. Ish, enough with the wacky rig videos. What are you doing? I get it. I get it. Even I am sitting here saying, am I making a 5th wacky rig video right now? What am I doing? But it's really not entirely all about the wacky rig. At this point, it's for science. Even with all of the things I've changed to try and help this, it still doesn't feel right to me. There's something missing. And so I feel like the need to continue to test to see if we can find that thing that really makes the wacky rig 100% effective, 100% safe, 100% bite detectable, no issues whatsoever. It seems like every time I go out, this weightless wacky rig, by the time I leave and go home, I'm thinking, well, that isn't what I thought was going to happen. When I started this, I thought, it's a finesse bait. You throw it out there, you catch fish. What more is there? Apparently, a lot. But I rigged up a little thing here. I could have made something better, but it's substantial, right? And it holds the rods in a good place for this camera. And what I want to do is show you guys a difference in my rods and speculate on what's going on here. This has been my go-to rod for over a year. It is a Cadence 7.2 medium fast action, and I do use it with braid. It is the heaviest, stiffest medium I've ever had in my entire life. In recent videos, I switched to this Piscifun, or Piscifun, I don't know how you say it. That is a 7.2 medium light fast action. A brand new Cadence medium light in there also. I'm going to put a pound of weight on these rods to see how they bend. There we go. Oh, okay. With that bent in that position, that is actually very close to the amount of pressure and bend that I try to keep in my rod when I'm fighting a fish. So let's see what the same weight does to this medium light. Oh yeah. Okay, that's a big difference. So it's interesting to see, at least my perspective, on how much weight I'm actually putting on a fish. It's not as much as I thought. But the one thing I want to show you here, both of those rods are a fast action rod. But if you notice, the medium light isn't bending the same way as the medium. The medium being bent the way it is, where the bend is more out here, is typical of a fast action rod. An extra fast action rod, this would be straight through here, and it would probably look more like this. Which is why I don't have an extra fast action rod, because an extra fast action rod with braid is absolutely a recipe for disaster. But what's funny is, this rod, which is also a fast action rod, different company, but still a fast action rod, it looks more parabolic. You don't see that straight start to droop. It kind of is bent throughout the whole rod. And so my theory on that is, technically speaking, every rod, even an extra fast, a fast, a medium, a moderate, or a slow action rod, technically speaking, they can all be parabolic. And my proof of that will be, hopefully I don't break a brand new rod, but I'm going to add the second bag to the medium. Now, see, this is exactly what I imagined happening. Look at that. They're both parabolic. They're almost matching each other. So this rod will hold 2 pounds, this rod will hold 1 pound, and be almost in the same place. And that's what I'm trying to say here, right? So this whole time, this rod being my go-to rod, I always knew I would lose some smaller fish. Because it's so heavy, it's so beefy, it's impossible to have this rod look like this if you catch a 1 pound fish. The chances of a little fish coming off are much higher. If you hook a 3 pounder with this, you could keep this rod parabolic, in which case it's perfectly fine for braid. I think that's the point here I'm trying to understand is, even though this is working for big fish when I do catch a big fish, I may actually see a benefit in switching back to a medium light even for a big fish. I may just overall lose less fish with a medium light. As you can tell, I've already technically had that thought, and that's why I bought a medium light that is a Cadence rod. So you think, well, it should look like this rod, right? Well, let's see. Now you see why that one's getting sent back. Don't tell Amazon. That to me, that's more like a bluegill rod, okay? You go add another pound of that, you're probably gonna break that rod. We're gonna get that off there. So, a lot of people, well, some people that are watching are probably a fan of an ugly stick rod. And I say that because, as you can see, I found this in the river. Probably 10 to 15 ugly stick rods I find in the river every single year. First of all, let's take this second bag off this. It's probably not good to leave 2 pounds of weight on a brand new rod. Let's see what this medium does with a pound of weight. Oh my. Well, okay. So it's holding a little more weight than the medium light, but it's still extremely far from my go-to medium. So I think it was important to show you guys this because this gives you a mental picture of why I said in the original test of the weightless wacky, where I made multiple mistakes, you know, explaining I had my go-to rod with braid on this tiny little hook is not ideal. But another reason why I wanted to show you this is so that you guys may have an understanding of how heavy that rod is. And you see a video and you think my rod isn't bent enough. That's why. If I tried to put a full 2 pounds of pressure on every fish I caught, it's just not going to happen. I will have fish in a split second because I'm not catching giant fish every cast. And now, of course, I'm not saying I'm going to lose every small fish, but when I throw a weightless wacky with that rig and braid, I'm just making the chances of losing a fish even worse. And so the final reason why I wanted to show you this test is because today's test, I actually learned something that I think is the absolute key to feeling a bite with this weightless wacky rig. And also, so you understand, for today's test, why I'm actually bringing my go-to rod again. I had a few people in the last wacky rig video mentioned they use monofilament because it floats and actually helps that wacky rig stay buoyant and helps keep from getting snags, makes a more natural presentation, and possibly, I can see it being plausible, actually detecting a bite better because the line's not down there and you may have a more direct connection with the bait. So right there, that was the moment that flicked the light switch on, and I continued to think about and eventually stumble across the answer. Man, the last time I used mono was years ago, but that's what we have on today. Found a spool of 8-pound mono. I think it's Stren. I can't remember exactly. Got that same Yamamoto Senko, the drop shot hook with the heat shrink tubing on it. I feel like that so far has been a really good combination for me. Good hookup rate. My first thought is using mono. Are the fish going to see that and they're going to shy away from eating this? I don't know. You know, the reason why I'm bringing my go-to rod is because it is the stiffest, heaviest rod that I have. Because mono has so much stretch, you got to make up that balance. You don't want to stay with a light, floppy rod because you're already going to have a ton of stretch. Here we go. Don't go anywhere. Can we continue to catch more fish in this same spot? I mean, I have fished the crap out of this. We don't want to get too close before we make a cast. We had a fish, he came off. We had a fish, he came off. I gotta remember to set the hook harder. I never felt a bite at all. Like, not even remotely close. I know it was a fish because he swam over. It's a good sign we had some action already though. Harder hook set-ish. I don't know if that was a bite or a freaking snag. It just feels mush. No way I'm feeling a bite with this. I'm even fishing slack water. That's a snag. This is way worse than that fluoro. I even have a stiffer rod. Oh, this is terrible. Oh, that water's colder than it used to be. We're gonna fish here for a minute. I'll try to fish out and down. Well, maybe I'll feel a bite. I don't know if that was a bite. Oh, something keeps is that fish? I can't tell what's happening here. Like, it's getting stuck over and over again. Were those multiple fish? I never felt anything. I don't know. Snag. Come out. These all might be snags. Because like I said, I haven't felt a bite. All of them could be snags. Until we get a bite and land it and actually feel the fish. This is way worse than fluoro. Snag. I do not miss using mono. Got it out. Did the trick of letting slack out, let the water take the line down, and then jerk it, and it pulls it down instead of where you're at. It pulls a different direction, and usually comes out. I'm thinking those were all snags. But I mean, it's honestly kind of hard to say. If fluoro was Nintendo, this is an abacus. This is so bad. Can't feel anything. Maybe if I keep my rod tip down instead of up like I'm used to, so I can see the line straight. This might be a fish. This is a fish. I really couldn't even tell. This is bad. This is worse than sponge. I don't know what this is. It feels big though. Why does it feel so big? Is it big? Where's he at? Oh, he's a decent one. Oh, okay, don't break my line. Get away from that tree. Oh, he's not that. Well, I don't know. I don't know what he is. He's decent. He's a decent one. Okay, you felt pretty big, bud. I literally, even after hook setting and feeling for a while, could not tell that this was a fish. Oh, so bad. This is... yeah. But we got one. We got one. He's actually a really pretty one. Very healthy looking fish. See you, bud. I mean, no offense to the guys using mono. Maybe you're using a thicker mono, 12 pound or something maybe. I don't know. But this 8 pound, even after hooks in it, it just feels like I'm in a snag. Well, we got one on the board. I'm gonna try to keep my rod tip down and let that line lay on the surface and stay straight, because I did feel a little something there. But at least, when you put my rod tip down, I'm actually keeping less slack in my line, and I am feeling some. That was a bite. No, this is interesting. Yeah, keep the rod tip down. It seems to help me. I did feel something there. That's a fish. It's either giant or I don't know, but I felt it. It's coming right at me, or is he tiny? I have no idea. I can't tell where he's at. Oh, he's tiny. Okay, that's why he's tiny. All right. Well, they definitely ain't afraid of the mono. Oh, I can get that. Oh, hook decent. Little guy. See you, bud. I think the key here is just to change that. I dropped it again. Oh, now it's really gone. We'll have to find it when the dust settles. Yes, I am feeling the bite better. Laying my rod out in front of me. Rock. I think I see it, but we're gonna wait. Oh, I definitely see it. That's a fish. Didn't feel it again. Oh, he's jumping. He's a medium. I didn't feel it though. I did not feel that. Oh, the Senko's gone. What the heck? Okay, they aren't afraid of the mono. Okay, bud. Just stop. Oh, you'll calm down if I can't hold you like that, huh? Little guy, see you, bud. I think it's the first time I carried a smallie like that. I think I see it. I do see it. Here we go. Rod tip down. I've never thought of this in my whole life. I used to use mono with jig heads, throwing swim baits and curly tail grubs and stuff. Never once have I ever put my rod tip down. I'm feeling way more with my rod tip down. You think about you're keeping your rod in line. with a slight drag. Pop, pop. Anybody out there? I went right into a snag. I felt it go into the snag. Got it out. That was a bump. Rock, maybe. Another fish. This one don't feel bad either. Oh, that'll be smaller. Okay. Okay. Helicopter wacky rig. Oh, he's hooked funny. Okay, you're another one I gotta grab like this. Hooked to the bottom on the tongue. Little guy. So, since it blew the hook eye through the top of that, I think the key to this heat shrink is get another spot. Just skin hook it. I can't believe they can make that thing go. Pull that hook through that just by slinging that around underwater. So far to me, another one. Oh, he came off. That one came off. That was a fish. So far, what I was gonna say, do I have my wacky still? No, I don't. He took it. There's proof. That was another one. We missed him. What was I saying? I don't know what I was saying. Like, did I just kind of figure out the secret to this that I never see anyone do? Which is actually keep your rod tip down out in front of you with the line as straight as possible. I've never seen anyone do this though. I mean, I'm feeling bottom and everything. Not great, but I am feeling it. Is that another fish? No, it's a stick. I can't tell. It's just pressure. Rod tip down. Huh? Try it out, guys. I'm telling you. You'll feel more. I'm not waiting to set no hook either, by the way. Snag. Alright, let's move up. No one in my life has ever told me to keep your rod tip down. Well, I would just, since I'm so open to this now, trying to figure out every detail, I'm like thinking about this a whole totally different way. It's like I've washed my brain of all information in certain ways to try and be as open-minded as possible. And I just thought, well, if my braid, or if my mono's on top of the water, if I put my rod tip down, that lessens the distance and keeps my rod and me tight with the line without dragging it, because lifting it up, the weight of the line is dragging the Senko. Well, if you keep your rod tip down, it floats with it. You're not dragging the Senko. That's gotta be a fish. Coming towards me, coming towards me. Is it big? Is it small? He's small. He's snagged? I think he's snagged. Interesting. How do you do that? There's another outlier for you. He don't know what the hell's happening. What? Solid as can be. Oh. Hold on. Sorry, bud. Let me get the pliers. Alright. Little guy. Snag. Not legal. This is kind of like Groundhog Day. It's funny because there's a groundhog hole here, which made me think of that. And it's like Groundhog Day. Every day he kind of remembered something from the day before and tried to change it. Well, I'm going to not step in this hole wherever it's at. That goes down to China. Don't step on that. Camera died. Don't worry. Nothing happened though. They ain't up in here. Alright, let's move to the main river. Yeah, it seems like every trip we're making, we're getting less and less fish. At least in the areas we were getting fish. Is the mono playing part in that? Are they seeing the line? Or are they moving? Personally, I think they're moving. I mean, we're getting nothing through here. The fish just jumped over there. There's at least babies in there somewhere. That's a fish. This might be big. Nope. Hopefully it'll swallow it. I didn't feel anything. And oh my, here we go again. Oh, we can get this one. We can get this one though. And there we go. Little guy. Felt like a giant. See you, bud. What am I seeing here? Oh, old spinnerbait. Put this in my back pocket. We have a fish. Is he big? Is he small? I think he's small. Babies. Babies. We're catching babies. We are definitely catching smaller fish. Little guy. I don't know. I think the rod tip down thing is helping. I'm actually probably helping when it hooks that too, because what I do is swing any direction and I'm getting good movement of the line. I think we're still in the same Senko though. Or did we lose one? We lost one because of the fish, I think. Yeah. At least, you know, 1/8 ounce or so. You'll feel a bite on pretty much any line or any setup you have. It's just even better with braid. We got a fish. He's jumping. He's tiny. But hey, we got one. We got one. Maybe you guys like the mono and fluoro because it makes small fish feel really big. Just go catch some big fish, guys. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah, there. Baby. Look, it looks just like you. Quit eating your family. Fishing is exactly the same as this wacky rig, right? About to get philosophical on you. If that's the correct word. I don't even know. I'm trying to sound smart. So the wacky rig is just like bass fishing, right? Anyone with 0 experience or 100 years of experience can take a wacky rig, weightless, cast it somewhere, and you're going to catch a fish. And just like bass fishing, anyone can catch a bass. It's not hard to catch a bass. It's just not. But on the wacky side of things, what is hard to do, in my opinion, and what it seems to be, is to reliably feel a bite so that you're not gut hooking them. You know, you want the fish to continue living. You don't want to harm the fish. And if you're out to eat them, then whatever. Doesn't matter. And then beyond that, and what's going to be hard that people aren't going to understand because you'll never actually know this, but I know this because I've run braid and I run a Ned and I feel everything, is I would almost guarantee that people with all mono and all fluoro are missing fish. You're getting a bite, they're spitting it out, and you have no idea that's happening. I mean, that could even be happening with braid sometimes if you don't play your cards right. You know, what else would be hard with the wacky? It's not really meant to be hard. That felt like a bite to come off. You know, like I said, like all these videos are making it sound like I'm having a hard time. I'm not having a hard time. I'm catching fish no matter every single time. I'm catching plenty of fish. They're all successful fishing trips, but it's in the refinement of the fishing and the refinement of using the wacky rig. You know, with people suggesting mono and fluoro and this and that and all this stuff, and everyone's saying something different, just tells me that people in general don't even realize that they're struggling with this bait. Because like I said, anyone can catch a fish on a wacky rig. That's not hard. But like, instead of having a 10 fish day, you could have a 20 fish day. Instead of gut hooking a smallie every couple trips, you could never gut hook a smallie. You know, those things can be improved. And I think that's the bottom line here, is it's the refinement of what we're doing. Just like you should be doing in your life. You should be getting better at things, learning, becoming a better person. That is a part of becoming an adult and being an adult. Yeah, I feel like a dad or something. When the that happened? Did a wacky rig just turn me into a dad? I think the fact of having a daughter turned me into a dad, but mentally, this thing is doing, this wacky rig's doing something to me. I don't know what it is. That's a snag. Didn't feel a thing. Let's give it another shot down here. That's a fish. Oh, that's a nice one too. That's a nice one too. He didn't look like a giant, but he's okay. Maybe he's not as big as I thought. Might be the biggest one today. He don't feel that big now, but I think he's decent. Oh, we still got the Senko. Ooh, come back here, bud. You ain't going nowhere. That's a decent one. That's a decent one. All right, bud, calm down. We got him. 13 maybe? See, he comes this other side. And I can feel better. He's like a 13. See you, bud. The current's a little slower here. which is, I think, helping with this rig. The other thing is I'm kind of actually throwing down, and that way I can keep tension in my line and keep my rod tip down, and I am feeling the bite pretty good that way, to be honest. And from the other side, I couldn't make it happen. Ooh, this is a big fish. Big fish. Yep, biggin. Release the drag a little bit. This is a big fish. Big fish. I could be wrong because we're with mono. Oh, he felt so big. Oh, I think he might have been around a rock for a second. He's still decent though. Oh, I thought you were a giant. I mean, he's a good one, but not at all what I expected. Come on, you got an attitude. He's a decent one. There we go. 13, 14 maybe? I don't know. He felt like a freaking tank. See you, bud. Yeah, this side's a little better to fish from. Casting across and letting your rod tip drop. Let that thing swing out in the current nice and slow. Well, there you go. There's the mono test. Ain't gonna be picked up by me anytime soon because once again, if I'm spooling up a rod with mono, that means I'm not using my other rig, and therefore I need another rod, and I don't want to take another rod with me on the boat or anywhere for that matter other than doing this test. If there's a finesse bait out there that I have to have another rod for, why would I do that? That's the problem with straight fluoro or straight mono. I'd have to have another rod to do so, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Does this work? Yeah, everything works. You could take a grapevine, tie on a wacky rig, throw it out there, and somebody will catch a smallmouth with that. Alright, so what did we learn on this one? I think we learned that math is your friend. I already said this stuff, but multiple things are happening to help me feel the bite. The lesson learned is keeping tension in your line. I mean, that's a simple answer. Depending on how you keep tension in your line, you will be moving that bait. And again, if you're moving that bait, there's no point using a wacky rig. You want that thing to drift naturally, and that's what really gets those fish to want to eat it. So if you're casting, you're basically just reeling this thing back in to keep your line straight with your rod up, you're just moving that bait. If you're fishing a river with current, you cast across that river or slightly down current, then that's going to help you keep some tension. When that fish bites, that bait's going to move what? A few inches. You know, if they see it and they vacuum it up, what is it going to move? 2 to 6 inches? I can't even see it being 6 inches. I feel like that's too far, but it's possible if it's a big fish. If you're throwing down current, you keep your rod tip up, and you got this giant droop in your line before it hits the water. That line is being pulled from your rod tip, not out of your rod tip, not against your rod tip. It's just swinging under your rod tip. And so the chance of you feeling that, especially with mono that's stretchy as hell, is very, very slim. So something as simple and as stupid as it sounds is just putting your rod tip down on the water, or right above the water, just lowering your rod tip, means there's no droop off your rod. So when something is pulled, it is pulling your rod when it does move. And so your bite detection is going to go through the roof. Again, that's also helped throwing across river or slightly down, so where the current and river is pulling that bait slightly away from you. Now again, if you're throwing straight down river and current, it's never going to hit bottom. And if you're throwing straight up current, you're going to have to reel constantly, but still laying your rod tip down right above the water is going to keep you in closer contact with that bait. And that's the lesson learned here. And this really, I think, just goes for weightless rigs. You know, if you throw a fluke on a EWG unweighted, this was probably going to help you. Even a Texas rig Senko is probably going to help you. But weightless stuff, you're basically fishing it like it's a streamer and I'm fly fishing. When I fish a streamer, I don't throw up current. Sometimes I do, but it's rare. I generally throw across or slightly down. I put my rod tip down in the water or right above the water because your fly line floats. And then I keep my rod in line and keep that nice swoop, and I just let that streamer go down. And like you've heard people say, they usually hit it on the J at the end of your line when that thing's swinging down in, right? But if something hits it along the way, you're going to feel it because your line's tight. Even though you got a curve in it in the water, there's still pressure on that, and you're going to feel that bite. This is the same thing. Keeping your rod tip down right above the water keeps you in line with your bait. And if that bait moves 2 inches for a bite, then your line at your rod is going to move 2 inches from a bite. All I'm going to leave you guys with now is, if I use this technique with braid, the chances of missing a bite in my eyes, 0. You're going to feel it. I could go out and test that and make another video of that, but I think it's time for me to move away from the wacky. I think I understand when and why I would use this rig, and I understand it enough now to know a few tricks to really make sure I'm not missing any fish. So hopefully you guys didn't get sick of me talking. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully this helps you out. Hopefully I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys catch a big one.